I'm I am live. So for the first time in a long time, I'm live only on Facebook. I am also live in the morning. I had to shut all these curtains because it was like so white, so much light. You know, it's Pacific Northwest, so I'm not complaining. I'm just confused. Um, but yeah, instead you get to see how pretty my curtains are. I guess I don't know. That's not. That's not what we're here to talk about today. Um, Today, I want to talk about what I've been working on for the month, which was basically disclosing how I title my blog articles. I actually had a client make a request about this. She was like, I would read an article about how you title your blog articles. And I was like, oh, it's self referential. Clearly, I need to do it. So, um, that's what I did. And now I'm doing a live about the blog article where I talk about titling the blog articles, using the title from that blog article. It's great. I love like the snake eating its tail situation. So good. Um, so anyhow, um, I have too much information in my head about this, so it has been blurped out in a couple different ways, shapes, and forms. So today we're going to talk about sort of high level, three simple things you can implement that will make your titles stronger. And this is true for blog articles. I can't speak with a ton of confidence about how great it works on other kinds of titles, but they are good principles from a marketing standpoint, no matter what you're trying to title. So, YouTube videos, podcast episodes, right? These are all some good strategies. And the tools I talk about can be used for them. So, but let's rewind to the beginning. So, for those of you embarking on blog writing, the big question is how do you get people to read your blog article, right? You've done all this work to write it, you publish it, and then what, right? So, having a well written piece is good. And telling people that you've published a new piece is also good. But that's not the end of it, right? These are the things that sort of come to the forefront for a lot of folks is like, write something, tell people about it, hope and pray. So, having a strong title is super important for encouraging folks to read it. An engaging title will increase the reader's interest in a topic that hopefully they're already interested in, right? We're not going to convince someone to read about something that they have no interest in. But we do need to encourage the folks who have some interest to take that extra step and be like, yes, I would like to indulge this interest, read more about this, spend my time investing in putting these thoughts in my brain. So this is also how search engines, so titles are how search engines understand what your article is about. So having a strong descriptive title is really helpful for helping the robots understand. So these are all the reasons you need a strong title. So how do we get that? So each search engine platform, each person, they're going to have sort of different constellations of factors, right? The different search engine platforms, different people that all think about things a little bit differently. So that being said, there are some like sort of universal strategies, like things that seem to be relatively consistent across all of them. Because at the end of the day, we're more alike than we are different. So here I'm going to talk about the three main things to consider. If you want like a full how-to with a case study from my June article, that all lives in the Launchpad. So go become a member of the Launchpad. That's the member area of my website. You'll get access to that as well as all of the other information I've been able to get out of my brain and into that member area. Tons of resources, really helpful for getting your business off the ground. So, but the three things I want you to be considering, whether or not if you're a Launchpad member. Okay, number one, statements are dull. said it as a statement. Look at how dull it was. So here's where I'm coming from with this, right? So we all loved, On the Origin of the Species, Darwin's famous work. So it can sound really intelligent or clever to sort of mimic that and be like, on the origin of blog titles, or on the origin of self-employment, or something. Insert your area of interest there. So yes, sounds kind of witty, maybe clever, an homage to something wiser. Unfortunately, the internet doesn't really care about what was a hot topic in 1859 when that was published. So we connect to titles very differently now that we have the internet. And even within the last couple of decades, there's been immense change in that. We've experienced the rise, and I would argue also the fall of clickbait. So nowadays we're like inundated with just the highly refined crack version of marketing titles, right? That's basically what clickbait is, right? It's like, I have given you pure sugar straight to your brain, and you're like, ah, and then you're like, oh, there wasn't anything to that, right? So we need to walk a line between these things. We need the title to pique the reader's interest. And then if you follow through on that, it's not going to be clickbait. But how do we pique the reader's interest? I'm going to have faith in you that you're going to use your powers for good and not for evil, so that you will actually follow through with what you are promising. But you could use these principles for evil. Please don't. Okay, so 3 key ways to make a statement or not make it a statement, because statements are dull. So you want your title to be a list, ask a question, or use because or how to, because those imply answers to the questions that they have. So a list, we all know the great era of listicles. The title I chose for this topic is a list. It's 3 secrets to strengthen your titles. Hey, look, it's a list, but it doesn't feel like, it's not 20 ways to solve your hair loss or whatever. Like, no. Yeah, asking a question implies, like, it makes the human brain give an answer regardless. So it's kind of a little marketing trick. And then, yeah, how to or because is just really great for like providing, implying that there's going to be an answer to this. And so these might sound kind of salesy, right? Because they've been used to excess. But there's a reason why they've been used to excess, right? Like, they have an effect. So we want to leverage those strategies because they do work, but also make it match what we're doing so that it's like not just a con. Anyway, so if your title is a statement, it's dull. See if you can get a different sort of to it. Make it a list, ask a question, do how to or because to imply that answer. Okay, my second hot tip here, or second secret, I guess is what I put in the title. The second one is short is not sweet. So there is definitely a sweet spot here. Titles can be too long and they can be too short. I notice that my clients, as well as myself, tend to default a bit shorter of what's actually going to work well. I had a client yesterday actually who suggested that this article should be, oh no, now I forgot it, how to title your blog. No, that was a working title in my brain. They suggested, I completely forgot. Well, clearly that was not the best title idea, but it was cute, it was clever, it was short, and like how to title a blog article, that's very short. It's not actually going to work very well for titles the way that we use them on the internet. So when it's too short, it means there's less information for like a human reader to latch onto. It's also going to keep like the robots guessing. So when the search engines are trying to understand your page, there's less words for them to be like, ah, it's about this. So um, if you're having fun with AI, think about it as asking AI just a very brief question. If you don't add any modifiers, it's just going to come up with something, right? If you want it to like actually find your article and have that person who's searching for the exact little niche nugget of knowledge you're offering, you need more words. It cannot be just how to title a blog article. Um, so how do we make it longer? Because longer is not inherently better. We don't want to string together a bunch of long concepts. Like, I'm going over these 3 secrets, but those secrets don't actually appear in the title. I could have tried to do that, right? Like, strengthen your blog titles using um, not statements, short, not sweet, and pack a punch with power words, right? Like, I could have shoved all of the things I'm about to talk about into that title. But that's not, that's sort of dividing the focus. So the title still needs to be focused, like on a single topic, super focused. Um, and it needs to be oriented towards the relevance of the reader. So the reader doesn't, in the title, need to know what the answer is. They need to understand the emotional impact. They need to see that they're going to get a solution to this thing that is weighing on them. So to this end, we don't want to make the title longer by stringing concepts together. We want to increase descriptive words and clauses that will connect with the reader. And we do this by picking emotionally impactful words, which beautifully segues me to my third point, which is that power words pack a punch. So once you get the length right, if the length is using power words, you're going to be in a really good place. So power words, there's not like a secret list of marketing words that like tap into a reader's brain and like mind control them to do what you want. Not even if you play it backwards. Like, that's not how this works. And there are words that have more emotional weight than others, which is not a way that like we as average people interact with words. We don't go, ooh, that like has a little emotional jolt to it, right? At least not me. I look at words and I tend to go, is that the right word? Is it really what I mean? So in marketing, these are called power words. And you can find lists of them on the internet. In the written form of this topic, I have a link to the one that I use, which is by Smart Blogger, I believe. And I try to include 1 or 2 of those in every headline, so that I know I'm getting that like emotionally connective, impactful bit. So those 3 secrets were that statements are dull, short not sweet, or short is not sweet, and then power words pack a punch. So if you are using a great engaging format, you've got the length that's in somewhere in a Goldilocks zone, and you're leveraging some power words, your titles are going to do better than On the Origin of the Species. I'm sure that was such a banger in its time, but like, you know? Okay, the other thing I want to impart right now is that writing a title is a process. So putting aside some time, like making it part of your writing process that you construct a strong title, is kind of key to this. You're not going to invent the title right off the bat. In fact, I start with like a working title for my article when I'm drafting it. It's usually a simple dull phrase, and it is a fail as a title, which helps me like focus my writing process. Like, it's a prompt, a concept, a sound bite of something that I was talking with a friend and was like, okay, that's the thing, and the words that make sense to me. It almost never becomes the published title. I will hold space for a snakes on a plane possibility, but So with every blog article, I set aside time. It's one of the steps in my process. Once the blog is mostly written or completely written and like either edited or not yet edited, I sit down and do this process. I go over the whole thing in the Launchpad, but I'm going to sort of do it kind of quickly here. So the example I'm going to use is my article from June of this year, June of 2025. The working title I had for it was 2025 Biz Plan Series dash June equals Operation Plan, Operational Plan. Actually, that was, I was focusing it on, is the word operation or operational? Put it in the title so I'd remember. See, very working title. Okay, so in hearing that title, if you watched the live from June or you read that article, it might make sense what that topic or what that article is about. But it's it's not a final title. No one is going to be enticed to read something with that title. June equals operational plan. Like, even if they're really into operational plans, like the reader doesn't get any hint of what they're going to get from reading it. They don't know what makes it different than stuff they already know. There's nothing giving them a reason to invest and read the rest of the article. There needs to be more substance. There needs to be more emotional hooks. So when you look at what the published title was, which the published title was How to Do It All Without Doing It All, Streamline Your Solo Business. So it's got that how-to in there, right? It promises what the reader is going to get from the article. Do it all is like kind of a loaded, powerful concept, as is the term streamlined. And you'll notice like it doesn't include operational plan anywhere in the title. Instead, it describes the outcome of a good operational plan. A good operational plan streamlines your business. And the reader wants that outcome more than they want to be able to be like, oh yeah, operational plan, check, got that off the list, right? So we're always looking at like, what's the outcome that the reader wants? So that is my little mini case study on how to take time, or why you need to take time to intentionally craft a title for a blog article. It's key to, having articles actually do what you intend them to, which is to, engage readership and drive new and existing people to your glorious wisdoms. And so everything from encouraging your existing community to read the article, to enticing strangers on the internet to read it, to helping a search engine understand what your article is about. That's what a strong title will do, and a little effort is going to go a long way. If you want the step-by-step and a far more in-depth case study, so like I take that June operational plan article and I disclose like what power words I was considering, my whole process, the titles I came up with, the titles ChatGPT came up with. Spoiler, ChatGPT won on this one. I have a lot of feelings about that, but that's okay. And like the process I go through, how I evaluate, what tools I use, and why I made the decisions that I did. So you can really see everything that got left on the editing room floor. And that section of the Launchpad also has just like step by step, here's what you do. Yeah, so that's everything I have to say about writing a blog title. I think it's only been 20 minutes. It hasn't even been 20 minutes. I feel so fast. But yeah, this is something I've been doing for, I think I've been running my blog around 10 years now. And I've been doing the titles this way for many of those years, at least 5, more than 5. 5 years ago was the Panini. So I have seen what works, and that those super short titles I started with didn't work very good. So this is my process. You're welcome to use other people's processes, but whatever you do, if you're concerned about how your blog articles are performing, think about examining your titles and enriching them a smidge. That is my wisdom for September. I hope you all have had a good one, and I will see you again next month. All right. Bye, folks.